Well, I suspect no introduction is required. But maybe there is, because there's a certain alter ego that goes along with this. So, I'd like to begin with how I start my show and give you a proper introduction. All right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, first, I hope you like bells. Now, hopefully with a hat on, you recognize me. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce myself. My name, with the hat on, is Sebastian Miles. And believe it or not, I am a fool. Oh, but I'm not just any fool, for I'm a professional fool. Unlike all you amateurs. Amateur fools, that is. For you see, ladies and gentlemen, I have a little fool-losophy. I believe we're all fools, right? It seems to be part of the human condition. Right? We all tend to make fools of ourselves, certainly at some point. We tend to make fools of others, sometimes whether we intend to or not. So I've developed my juggling character from years of juggling down at the Renaissance Festival, where I started learning about juggling jesters. And I became basically, I was hired to do street shows, so I developed a character. And so I have one character, which is the jester. So over the decades, I've thought a lot about what the jester means. Why is it important? It seems to be a reoccurring theme. So, turns out I do have a thing or two to say about this. Ultimately, I'd like you to think about, how does this relate to your spiritual growth, okay? And we're going to have a whole sermon just on that. But I'm just going to kind of go down the thing here, because you see, all right, this is good. The jester was a professional fool, right? Because the jester worked for the king. Now, the king was the center of government, right? In a monarchy, the king gives law. So, the jester working for the king as an advisor, the most important of advisors, because the jester could say anything to the king, day or night, right? Because if an advisor said something, then, kill the messenger kind of thing. So the jester would give honest advice. Of course, he'd do it in the form of a jest, a joke. He'd make the king laugh. Oh, sorry, a little bit of Sebastian slipped out there. So we only have about 20 minutes, and there's just so much to say on this. But the jester working for the king, okay, it was a political position. So that would be me as the jester, me as Sebastian working for the president. I mean, can you imagine that? Me? Can you imagine that? Me working for the president? Unfortunately, the president already has fools working for him. So a little political commentary is appropriate for the jester in the role. So I'd like to also now make a little distinction between the clown and the jester, because where has the jester gone? Okay, if the jester's role was to present to the king other ways of looking at things, where has that gone in modern day society? Because that's kind of the archetype of the jester, to kind of be outside of society, on the fringes. So how does that go back to our own feelings of feeling on the fringe, okay? And think about it. When we're in our adolescence, say junior high school, and you're a sensitive guy walking down the sidewalk, and the kids, the bigger kids, are coming the other way. And there's fear there, right? So where's that fear of being, looking foolish or not fitting into society? How does that relate to our spiritual growth? So I hope to work more on that theme and, continue this another time, because being a PK, I can talk a lot more in 20 minutes. So the clown, okay, the clown is generally thought of as the buffoon, okay? And the king might have a jester who was buffoon, but the clown is generally thought more of the victim, the one who gets the soda water in the face. Okay, clowns are often used in storytelling as the evil one, and there's just a whole other discussion that could be done on that. But the clown and the jester, the professional fool, is a little different because the clown acts more as a victim, whereas the jester is more the wise fool, the one who, like in our story, sees things a little differently. And maybe a simpleton, which reminds me of a story that Cynthia emailed me, of the Fisher King. And the basic premise of the Fisher King, actually I have it printed out, so if somebody wants to read that later, but the basic idea is that the king set all of his wise ones on a quest that the fool, the simpleton, the jester, set is right in front of you. And in the case of the Fisher King, it deals with the Holy Grail. So the jester is more of a truthsayer. So in my kind of hidden ego with Sebastian, the truthsayer goes back into the political commentary. What can I do to make the world better, right? Both as a preacher, but where is the jester gone, okay? Where is that person who's doing political commentary for the society around us? So my personal spiritual growth, I think, is involved with this symbology of fool, of being, beaten down in society, being on the fringes. And how do you take that and make something good of it? So like I said, I think it's part of the human condition because through all of our foolishness, we have something to give. Right? So the wise fool. But there are other paradigms for the fool. There's the divine fool. Okay, and the divine fool, sometimes in history, the role of the jester or the fool, the buffoon, might actually be someone who was mentally ill. And there were some periods, some societies where the mentally ill was like the babbling fool, and they were touched by God. They were blessed fool. So, kind of moving that on, the king back being into the center of government means that the king can't look foolish. This is another rule of why the king would have a jester. So the king has to be kingly and not appear human, so the king at one point was also considered divine. So if the king, does something foolish, the jester might rush in and then divert attention, okay, from the king's foolishness and make all the foolishness appear onto the jester. So that was one role that the jester might have. Within the media, okay, where's the jester gone? Where's the role of truthsayer, of questioning the decisions of the center of government? Where's that role gone? Well, in the U.S. Constitution, the media was kind of the fourth branch of government. They were supposed to be the truthsayers, right? Right, and we laugh about that, right? And so, okay, maybe they've made fools of us, right, with all of that. And so we have to be our own truthsayers now. And that gets into a whole other discussion. In cartoonists. Okay, so where's the role of jester? Now, largely that role has gone to the stand-up comedian, the late-night show host, the one who talks about the news but does, kind of points out the obvious. So-and-so did this, and, look how absurd it is, right, if you look at it this way. It's like, step outside of that. Why is this, and then why are we believing it? And so it gets back into the whole, where is our jester? Where is our blessed fool? Also with the blessed fool, why don't we go right to Jesus Christ, okay? Jesus Christ was crowned with a crown of thorns, and he was made into a mock king, okay? Now the mock king, like a town might have an annual festival, and they would have the town fool, which is a little different, but it serves a similar role. But the town fool would be, the jester for the town would be more of a fertility symbol, okay? The growth of the crops, you know, the stories go on with all of that. But the important part here is that the jester, the town jester, was a bit of a, okay, would play, okay, so the king would be the center of government. So once a year, the town might have a mock king. They'd find, you know, a buffoon or somebody who would have the honor of playing the mock king. And then all the frustrations could be, you know, the town and the villagers, and our crops were bad, and all of this stuff could be basically, you know, stone thrown, or, you know, presumably the guy wouldn't be killed, but sometimes he could be. But all the frustrations of the town would be, you know, put onto the fool, onto the mock king. So that you can't do that with the real king, you know. So that would happen. Okay, so, all right, coffee break. Okay, so the divine fool. So when Jesus Christ was given a crown of thorns, he was made into a mock king and declared the king of fools. But this goes back now to, you know, if you look at that, well, you know, Jesus Christ is not considered a fool. He was considered one of the most wise. So the mock king. Okay, so now the jester. Okay. Let's transition. I got a few more minutes here. We're going to transition to something a little bit different now. Okay. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, if I might put the hat back on. You see, I'm Miles, right? Miles Eddy. And with the hat on, I'm Sebastian. Because when you play a professional fool, it's good to have an alias. Yeah. Now, you don't want to confuse the fool guy. All right, now just a couple quick things, since you're probably expecting some juggling. I'm going to teach juggling. Of course, jesters and juggling go together. The whole concept of the jester is entertainer. And so the jester would have his repertoire of juggling, of storytelling, of music, anything else he could come up with. So I'm just going to do a couple quick things here, and then I'm going to do another little fun little bit here. All right. Under the leg, under the other leg, under the leg, under the other leg, under both legs.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, wait, they want to see it. You want to see under both legs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want to see me right on my rear end, right? Yeah. Under both legs. Oh, wait, I got an idea, though. I got it. I can do it. I can do it. Under one leg. Under the other leg. Under both legs. Up, get it, under. All right, under both legs. Woo! Hip, hip. Hooray! Now, ladies and gentlemen, continuing my role of jester. Some of us might feel, well, a little nervous with that whole giving money. Some of us feeling nervous about accepting money or accepting gifts. Right? A whole nother sermon, right? How do we give? How do we receive? Now, my character at the Renaissance Festival was based on a peasant, okay? One who basically depended on the generosity of the town to feed them and cover, basically take care of them. This would be the role of the town fool. And the town would take care of them. Well, how do we take care of things here? Well, we know it's that little green stuff here. So I need a volunteer. A volunteer. Jan, why don't you come over here? You put your hand over there. Come over here. Stand right about there. All right. Yeah, face me. Because I have a great cause. And this time, it's not even Sebastian, okay? So if you would like to donate to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Alamosa, we are going to pass the basket around here, and the jester is going to jump on the piano and try to eke out a little bit of music for us. Okay, so don't feel foolish, because if we all do it, none of us will feel foolish, okay? Give me a cheer. Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hooray! But I know You might be feeling the spirit a little bit right now. I am a PK, right? So, but you might be still a little nervous about, well, you know, I'll throw in, you know, a quarter or two and that'll, you know. But no, because I really need to grovel now. Because you don't want to give up your money. And please, 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 donate to us humble Unitarians. Without the money, I'll go play the piano.
There's also a gift.
Now, I had thought about getting everyone to grovel to the next person, so feel blessed I didn't make this audience participation. All right, this is the one I wanted to play, but I didn't get to practice it, so hopefully I won't make a fool of myself with all this. So, we just have a few more minutes. Do we make lots? Do I need to grovel? It's not even around yet? Oh, I should play longer, right? Oh, and we have one song still at the end here. So let me... All right, I'll finish up with this. Yeah. Okay. Now, Sebastian, almost forgot I still had the hat on. I gotta remember who I am. Never forget who you are. All right, now Sebastian would end up, of course, with the grand finale of not one, not two, but three, everybody.
Razor sharp machetes. Ooh.
And the rest of you get to my show.
Wow.
All right, pitch, right, it's back. I got into the money. All right, there's a point in the show with the razor sharp machetes where I go, okay, I introduce the machete, and if there's kids specifically, but I do this anyway, it's just like, introduce the knife, the razor sharp machete, stop, hold the show, because I have something to say about this machete. Obviously, don't play with knives at home, right? Don't play with that. So I get to the grand finale, and I go, you know, I do the one and the tricks, and then I do the two and the tricks, and I get to three, and I go, are you ready? Are the paramedics ready? And then I say, you know, and not three, and go walk away, and then come up and say, any volunteers? Especially with the kids, you'd be amazed how many people raise their hands. And then I get to say, no, you don't play with knives, because I have something to say, and it may be obvious, but there are many things in my role of jester that I have discovered that go without saying, that need to be said. Think about that. We'll talk more about how that relates to our spiritual growth, taking our foolish knowledge, putting it in with our wisdom, and putting it in with something and getting wisdom. And okay, great. Juggle, we're going to have lessons out there. I hope that we're going to have some lively discussion about all this. Think about your inner fool, how it comes into wisdom, and let's talk some more about this. Talk about it online, too, with the Facebook group or something. All right, the grand finale. The grand finale. Hup, there's 1/3. Hup, there's 2/3. There's almost a great save. There's 2/3. And because you're not applauding yet, there's 3.